Welcome back to another Wolcen video. I'm Arcblight, and today I'm going to break down some really basic modding that you can do offline. So if you're anything like me and you're frustrated with the servers or you just want to mess around, offline you can edit your character. So if you want to be a higher level, have more gold, more primordial essence, you can do stuff like that, and it's actually pretty simple to do. So that way you can experience more of the game, or make your character progress to the same point that your online character is, or even if you want to mess around with a build before devoting all that time to see if it works or not, you can do this. So here I have a new character, fresh level 1, didn't do anything in the story yet. So I created him so that his character file will exist. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to exit out of Wolcen. Yes, let's get out of there. All right, and then what you want to do is you want to go to your computer files. So you go in to this PC, go to wherever Wolcen is installed, go to the user folder, find you, go down to saved games, find Wolcen, go to save games within Wolcen. Now here, player chest, that's everything to do with like the items and everything that are in your stash. I'm not going to mess around with that right now, but if you delve further into it, you can actually edit items, throw items in there, change the stats on them, stuff like that. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go into player data, open that up with Notepad. When you first go to open it, it's not going to be like defaulted at Notepad. You're going to have to drop it down and choose Notepad as what you open it as. And then in here, if you scroll down to completed story, it's going to say false if you haven't actually completed the story. You can just select it like this, type in true, lowercase, then click save, and then boom. When you get on, your character will have access to opt out of the story mode and go right to the end game activity stuff. Then after that, if you go into characters, you'll see your offline characters here. So I have one character I've already modded out and everything like that, but what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to modify the new character that I created. So I'm going to open this up in Notepad as well. Go in here. Now there's going to be a lot of information here, and if you're not familiar with looking at like these code variations, then this is going to look like a bunch of gibberish to you. But if you look through, I'm going to keep it really basic so that you can do some simple things to give yourself a good head start on whatever you're trying to do. So what I'm going to do here is, looking through here, it has all the stats and code combinations for how your character looks, strength, you know, all the stats for that stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump up my strength just like to 100. The reason I'm bumping these up is because if you create a totally new character and you leave all the stats exactly where they are, you'll have to give yourself some actual stat points to work with. But if you just bump these up, then you can select reset skills and it will actually give you all of the skills you would naturally have at whatever level you make your character. So I'm just going to throw 100 into strength, 100 into agility. I'm going to leave it like that. Then down here at level, I'm going to bump my character to, let's say, level 90, max level. You can technically make your character go higher. So I've seen people posting that they can make themselves, I think it's level 550. And if you do that, you have enough skill points to select everything on your skill tree. So you can basically go into God mode. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to break the game in any way, and what I mean by break the game is just go God mode and abuse everything that's in there. That's cool if that's what you want to do, have some fun. For me, I like to keep things at least a little bit legit, you know, be a level that's actually attainable, have the skill points that's actually attainable, etc. So I'm going to make my character level 90. Passive skill points. So if you leave this with 0, you're going to have the same problem with your stats. You'll be a level 90, but you'll have nothing to reset because you'll have nothing put into anything if you're like a fresh new character. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself, I think 89 is technically the highest amount of passive skill points you can have if you've reached the max level of 90. I'm going to do 89 just to be safe with that. I believe it's whatever level you're going to make your character, make it 1 below. And I believe that's accurately what you would have legit. So I'm going to do 89. Current XP, I'm going to leave that alone. Gold, I'm going to give myself a bunch of gold because this is a new character, bumping him up to 90, but he's going to have no gear. He's going to have like the starting gear. So I'm going to give myself a bunch of gold so that way I can go to the vendor and kind of get myself decked out, at least so I can even function. And then what I'm also going to do is Primordial Affinity here. I'm going to go over to the 0. I'm going to give myself, let's say, 10,000 Primordial Affinity. That way I can go to the vendor for that, buy a bunch of skills, and level them up a lot, and kind of balance out my character so it feels a little bit more like, you know, I got to level 90 and I have all these skills I probably would have found along the way, etc., etc. So I'm going to get those. Down through here, see, you could get more into it and have all the skills listed and level them up and all that, but that's a lot of time consuming stuff right there, tweaking all that stuff. So I'm going to leave that alone and just rely on my Primordial Affinity and my gold to get me through to where I need to be. So if you scroll through, you'll actually see like all the cosmetic stuff. I'm not going to mess with any of that stuff. In the Discord for Wolcen, there's actually a modding channel. That's where I've seen a lot of this stuff and kind of learned what I've learned so far. You can go in there, and I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to join that community and see what other people are doing, and maybe ask questions and get some more help on anything you might be confused on. That's where I hang out and everything like that. Or you can stop by my stream on twitch.tv/Arcblight. I might be able to help you out there too. So if we keep scrolling through, eventually you get to the bottom, and down here it shows quest ID and step ID. This is where, if you were going to stay in the story mode, you could alter those so that you're at different stages throughout the story mode. And I'll admit, like, I tried to get my character to basically be exactly where it was online, and that was like at the Act 2 final boss or whatever. And I was trying to get the right quest ID and step ID, and it wasn't working out, and everything I saved there just kept defaulting back to where it was before. So there was something wrong I was doing in there. I'm not 100% on what I did yet, but what I decided to do is just like leave that alone. In the player data one, where we changed it from false to true, now I can just go into the end game and I can do the end game dungeons and stuff. So I'm not ruining any of the story mode for me. It's more of just getting in and being able to do dungeons and get a feel for whatever character I'm kind of messing around with at the time. So in here, there's the story stuff, game mode, difficulty, all that. You can leave that alone if you want. Just do end game stuff to keep it simple. If you need more help on getting to a specific quest, like you're really determined for that, I'd definitely go to the Wolcen Discord and see if people can help you out with that. Up here, it's going to show all the items you have equipped. And I learned a configuration for putting in Magic Find. And I'll post this. It's right here copied on another WordPad. So if you take this and put these values and words and everything onto another stat, for example, the easiest way I found, instead of copying and pasting it in there, because you got to get the positioning just right for it to actually work without breaking your character and having that character just disappear, I just went into Effect ID, changed the name to whatever this code over here says, and changed all the other stats as well. Now, in game, it says I have, you know, a ton of Magic Find. The only thing I've noticed is it hasn't really affected the game. Like, I don't feel like I'm getting any more drops than usual. I haven't gotten any more uniques than usual or anything like that. So I don't know if there's another value in here somewhere that needs to be adjusted. So it didn't really work for me. I'm sure people either have figured out or are still figuring out how to get that stuff to work right. And if there's any updates to that, I'll post that in the description below, anything that I figure out with that stuff. But so far, we got the gold, Primordial Affinity, and our level all figured out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to exit out of this. And if we open up Wolcen again and get to our character, a lot of things should have changed. So let's get that loaded. All right, so as you can see, the servers are still down today. So get out of that. If I go to change character, here is the character that was level 1. That's all modified. Now it shows that he's level 90. I'm going to select him. So it still shows that I'm in Act 1 at the very beginning, but if we go to the game settings, we can now select the end game activity, Champion of Stormfall. So with that, we do save and close, and then let's hit play. and see how our character is functioning now. Okay, so now we're at the end game. Go up here. Let's see what we got going on. So if we go open up our character sheet, see I'm still getting the tips and everything because it's technically a new character. Shows that I have 100 in ferocity and agility, like what I was putting on the stat sheet. Where I gave myself a bunch of gold, I can afford to reset my attributes, no problem. So when I do that, hit confirm, it gives me 890. So 890 is how many stat points I would have if I just naturally, you know, got to level 90. So it actually gives you the default amount you would typically have. Even though I only put ferocity and agility up to 100 each, it gave me the full amount when I hit reset. So now I can distribute those any way I want in there. Similar thing with your passive skills. Go in here, I gave myself 89, so I don't have to worry about doing any kind of resetting or anything. If you played your character to a certain level and then edited your character, then you could just reset on your character sheet. You could just bring that up, reset your passives, and it would probably give you all of the passive skills you would have at whatever level you decided to make your character. But a safe bet for it is if you make your character level 89 or whatever level, just go one below that level number, and that should be the amount of passive skills you should have for it. So then with that, I can go through, build my character however I want for level 90. And then in the inventory, it shows how much gold I gave myself, how much primordial essence. So I can go up and buy a bunch of just like starter gear to get me going. So I could buy all this stuff from him, start gearing up. And then skills, we don't have any skills because we're kind of a fresh character. So we go down to Demetra, and we can just buy a bunch of skills. Now, if you're having an issue getting the skills that you want or some of the gear that you want from the vendors, keep in mind that if you log out and go back in, the vendors will refresh. So you can hopefully get back in and find whatever skills you were looking for. And same with skill gems. You can come over and buy whatever skill gems Xanafer has for sale. And then load out, load back in, and have new options to select from. And then since we're in the end game, I can do expedition maps and, you know, random dungeons like that. I like to do that so I don't ruin the story for myself or anything, and I can just mess around with builds and, you know, make a form of progress without worrying too much, at least until I get back online to my other character. But yeah, hopefully this video helped break down some of the simple things that you can do. I'm sure probably soon there's going to be a lot of other ways. Maybe there'll even be some programs that make everything simpler for people or that do way more intense, crazy things than what I'm showing you here. But I figured this would at least help some people who are a little disappointed with the servers being down still keep some engagement with the game and still be able to practice things and learn things about the game. If you've liked the video here so far, I'm going to be doing a lot more Wolcen content in the future, so feel free to hit that subscribe and like. Any further questions or discussions, just hit me up in the comments and I'll get back to you when I can. Other than that, as always, everybody, thanks for watching.